besides reshaping that, making that a sharp bend around there, I'm also at the same time setting the glue on it. Okay, we've got this leather crimped pretty good now, and we're ready to put the stiffener on. And I want the back of the horn to be right there. Right, I'm going to be able that be a straight line from there down to the base of the horn. And of course I want this to be in the center. So I'm going to have to lay my stick down and work at this. And what I'll do sometimes is get a ruler and center it in the back of the candle and lay it over this little center mark that I made when I was using a compass or dividers to draw this, right over there, and see if the distance from the ruler to this notch and from the ruler on this side to that notch is about the same. And those is just really close. So I'm going to set that down. I've already got glue on both sides of this, so it will. We're ready to put the cap on it. I mean the wrap. We'll pull these up, and if they're cupped like that and won't pull up easy, what I'll do is cut a little relief cut in there where it'll relieve it a little bit, that tension, where it will come on up. Just make sure you don't cut those cuts into the area where your horn, the edge around the horn. We'll pull that on up. Looking good. Now I'm going to cut that excess off. Now I'm going to use my pliers to bring this together, and I'm pushing it, this part here, against the horn on the bottom, so I'll make a good crease around there, because that's where we're going to be stitching. We want our stitching to lay in that crease, so it'll be out of the way of wear and tear. I'll show you a little clearer picture of that in just a minute. Kind of hard to do this when your pliers are sticking to the leather, but it just speeds things up a little bit when you've already got glue on here. Now I need to tap that down, get this going down a little bit. Now you can probably tell there's a dome to that. Some people like to leave it that way, but I like for mine to be flat. So what I do, I just shave that down. Flatten it off. Now I was telling you earlier about putting nails in that, so this is a good time to do that. I generally put 4 nails. Some people put 5, some people put 2, or other things too. I don't know. I usually don't put in I made a habit a long time ago when we used a lot of horn caps, not putting anything in the center. And I still do it that way. These are shoe nails, and they've got a very fine, soft point. And what these do, they go down through this leather, through the rawhide, then there's a thin layer of plywood, and then there's a metal horn. And these generally go down to the metal horn and clinch. Yeah. And that forms a very solid base. And you can work that now, and this won't move. If you don't do this, and if you're covering just a plain metal horn without any rawhide or anything on it, you can't do this. And they will eventually, you can sew them and glue them, but eventually by people holding on to them and rubbing them around, the glue will break loose, and they will eventually get loose and will turn. Okay, I'm gonna trim this stuff off under here. What I do, that mark that I made with the pliers, I follow that. Just cut it out like that. Bring it on up to this level right here. And then I come in right in the center now. I'm not going to cut anything over on these sides yet. So I stay right here in the center. And get that out of the way. Now that leaves a little bit of a ridge, so we're going to need to get that off. Any kind of a ridge or bulge underneath here, we need to trim it off, because we don't want to make a bulge in our wrap. We want our wrap to be real smooth. We want the whole horn to have a smooth, neat look about it, because when you, it's kind of hard to show you what I'm doing, but I'm going to try anyway. This piece, this wrap that come around here, and then, you know, we cut it off. It was sticking out there, and we cut it off. We come in here and cut it right in the center. Now we've got this little thing like this sticking out here, so we're going to fold it over like that, right in there. What we're doing is filling up the space between here and here. We're trying to get rid of this empty space right in here. So we pull that over, we've cut it all the way back down almost to the corner, not quite. When you get down close, we'll start feeling it, pushing it up against the horn, and make sure you don't cut it too far, because you want it to stop right there where the wrap will lay right in there, and not any holes left laying a cut, open cut, or anything right in there. So now we're going to cut this right up the middle and get rid of this excess. Now we'll still make these cut careful now, so you don't overcut. So that is laying real good right in there. Now this has still got a ridge right here, so we're going to get rid of that, making it smooth. Now to help this right here, we're going to cut off a little bit right. Well, it's bending down, so we don't need to cut it off. We just need to glue it a little bit better. Now that will fill up that hole in there. We'll get rid of that. Now I'm going to turn it over and show you what we did on the bottom side. When I was pinching this, I was pushing this leather up against the horn all the way around. See how it creased it all the way around, and it goes all the way around to the back side the same way. Now when we stitch it, we want our stitches to come out real close, right along that edge right there. And then it'll be trimmed off about right there, about 1/4 of an inch out from the base of the horn is where we'll trim it. And sometimes not quite that much. But we don't want to cut in close enough that we'll cut in as stitches. So that gives you an idea of what I was doing on the underside a while ago. This will give you an idea what I was talking about. We want to make sure that this comes down far enough on the horn where the wrap, when it comes around, it will cover up this and not leave a little hole right there. Okay, I've got glue on it. I freshened up the glue here and on this too. And we're ready to put the wrap on it. Like I was talking to you about earlier, we're going to pinch this up real tight right here. Now, I didn't put glue on the wings. I put them on, pull them down real tight. If they're glued, you can't pull them down real tight. So I do not glue this. I pull them down real tight, get them stretched, get all the wrinkles out of it, and then I let it dry. And then I come back and glue it. So right now we're going to pinch this up and fit it right in here. Now you want to get this corner right here, right in that corner right there, and get them up good and tight. If you let it go too far forward, then this cut will show in your horn. So we want to get it just right. Make it look smooth. And it keeps sticking up here, and okey-dokey. Get that one pulled down there and get this one. Yeah, that one's up in there. Just roll this over. I've got glue right in this area on the underside. So we're going to pull this down. I want to tap that a little bit with a hammer. Now we'll use our pliers, glazing pliers, and bring it right on around. This does two things. It's firming up the glue and making a mark just like we did on the bottom side. This mark you see that we're making here will end up being our sewing line, or real close to it. Okie dokie. Now, get me a couple of tacks and my hammer ready. And I pull it down, pull the slack, pull that down, and I hold that while I pull this. If I didn't hold this, then we would end up getting it over like that, and that wouldn't be good. It wouldn't look good. It could be hard to get the wrinkles out. Now, right in underneath this horn, most of the time I have to trim. I leave that to fit at this point. I don't try to cut it to fit beforehand. So I'm gonna come under here and okay, now you have to kind of pull those wrinkles around. Don't worry about it doing that. It's okay. Now, by golly, didn't have to trim that one much. That's good. Now I've got that pulled around. Now I'm going to get this side and start it. I'm going to get a tack in that while I've got it good and tight so it don't slip. See how, yeah, I'm going to have to trim some off of that one. It's always better to have to trim a little bit off than to